everyone, it's Nikki Haverstock, and this is RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12, Episode 13, Alone Together, the reunion episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment. I will be doing Drag Race All-Stars. I'll probably do Canada's Drag Race. Don't totally know. Comment below, are you going to be watching All-Stars? I assume if you're watching this, you're watching All-Stars. But what about Canada? Are you going to watch it? I have used the app. It was super easy. It's not very expensive at all. I think it ends up being like $6 for the whole season. So I'll probably end up recapping that, although my UK one was not very popular. So what did you think of the reunion? I don't think it was a bad reunion, but you know, I think I was starting to think, like, I don't like reunions in general, and I was trying to think, well, when did that happen? Because I used to love the reunions, and I realized it's social media. So when I think of a reunion episode, I think back to that I used to love were way back in the early 2000s. Before we had Twitter, before we had Facebook groups. I don't really do a lot with Facebook and fandom in general, I find it too. But now we have Instagram, we have YouTube reaction videos. I love all those, but it takes some of the steam out of the reunion episode. I did watch it. I actually forgot. I've gotten to the point in quarantine where when I started, I thought I didn't know what day it is. Now I really don't know what day it is. And this is I guess this is now my Monday morning attire, which is a hat to cover up my hair. I've already worked at home, so I've lost all sense. So it was like Saturday afternoon and I went, oh my gosh, they had, you know, RuPaul's Drag Race, the reunion on. I looked online, I looked on Twitter, and there didn't seem to be a ton of dialogue happening. So I kind of went through it at my own pace, texted a friend and was like, what did you think? And kind of got the same thing, like, yeah, it was okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I personally want to say, a lot of times people say they only love the drama seasons. I really enjoy this season. I do enjoy a season where you can fully enjoy the challenges. Now, I admit, when there's not a lot of drama and fighting, the stakes are a little bit lower, but I think there's a couple reasons why this reunion episode was a little bit lower. One is they couldn't perform over the course of the episode, over the course of the season. So one of the things that we see is that it's very common for people to go to Roscoe's. It's a big viewing party club in Chicago that T-Rex runs, and they drink, and inevitably 2 or 3 times throughout the season, somebody drops a bomb that they shouldn't. They say something a little too, when I say shouldn't, as in maybe that they would have chosen to undo, but they say something, maybe they make a over the top line, you know. I'm not trying to be a judgment on this, because drag is pushing boundaries and all that. So I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying, with no one being able to perform at venues over the course of this, and many of them drink heavily during their performances, it's usual that something gets stirred up. We also will tend to see that on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and we just didn't really see that. Maybe it happened and I just didn't see it, but because everyone was stuck at home, I think people had a lot of ability to control the dialogue around the season. Another thing is things that could have gotten blown out of proportion were kind of had already been dealt with. So I think I mentioned this a few episodes ago. The Brita essentially apologized on social media, said, hey, I'm really sorry about my behavior, but I'm getting a lot of hate, so I'm going to get off Facebook. So I think by the time we got to the finale, I thought Brita handled it great. So just to get into the finale, Brita apologized, said, you know, basically what all of the commentators said. Took out her frustration on Aiden, that she really should have focused on her own stuff, that she was frustrated. I couldn't ask for a better apology. I thought it was perfectly fine. I thought we've all been caught at our worst. She definitely paid the price for that. It showed up in her performance there. But I thought she was fine. I'm willing to give her another shot. I don't think she really cares what I think, but I think I'm pretty representative of fans. And I think most fans will come out of this kind of neutral with her in terms of, she didn't win me over, but I'm not going to cross the street to avoid her either. We'll see what happens out of this, because if it really was a mistake and she's kind of spicy and all that, she can regain it. On the other hand, I kind of felt, and let me just preface this, I still love Rock. I'm so excited to see what Rock does in the future. But I kind of felt like there was a couple times that Rock just kind of could have just let it be. You know, like Felicity got robbed that season, and I don't know. For me, it tends to be that when you get to the end of the season, you go, okay, yeah, maybe she should have stayed a few more episodes, but in the end, I'm kind of okay with things. But I also found it a little confusing because I think they had I'm 99% sure, tell me if I'm wrong, that they kind of had this skit where Rock pretended to get mad at Jada. And it was because one, it didn't sound very authentic. I didn't fully believe that Rock was mad. And then my knee-jerk reaction was like, oh, seriously, you're gonna bring that up? And it kind of, for a split second, affected my opinion of Rock. Like, seriously, that's what you're gonna bring up? And then I went, oh wait, this doesn't make sense. And then I'm like, oh, now they're all fighting. Okay, this was fake. I don't think they did Rock any favors. I assume it's fake. If you think that whole thing where everyone was talking over each other and yelling was real, then let me know in the comments. But it was fake, right? It was meant to be kind of like a cute little skit. But for a split second, I was kind of like, you know, they have those where they do the polls and you have a dial and you can like happy, you know, I'm leaning toward this person. For a split second, my dial turned until I realized what was happening. But another thing I have an opinion on with the reunion is that I don't think they did a good job of trying to replicate the reunion environment. Visually, it was very interesting, but it cannot be duplicated for a couple reasons. One, they weren't physically there. They couldn't have a private Kiki because of how the conversation works. Theoretically, Britta couldn't have, now she could have private messaged Aiden, but they couldn't like be in the makeup room, getting ready. And that environment, you know, good or bad, can exacerbate things. So you forget how annoying someone is, or you get a chance to, you know, hey girl, here's, you know, go ahead and borrow my lipstick. No, we're cool. You know what I mean? Like, so you don't have that. Secondly, you know, they all complain. They've heard them talk before about the reunion being exhausting. You get all in your best drag and then you have to sit on these tiny little chairs. You're all mic'd up. You can't move. Everyone's got to get in position. That isn't happening. So all of those things bring down the tension level. You know, sitting in your own apartment with your own bathroom, with your own support system, not having to see people, brings down the tension level. Another thing is, I don't know how their Zoom was set up. I don't pretend to know how their Zoom was set up. I don't even say that they knew it was Zoom. They might have, I don't know how they did it, but I know that in Zoom and several other places that I've been, you can't see everyone's face at the same time, depending on how it's set up. Now, maybe they set it up so there was gallery view so you could see everyone. But a lot of times, I'm guessing even for audio, because none of them were wearing headphones, which means for audio reasons, they might be controlling how the audio works because they don't want to be getting echoes. And it looked really good, but my base point is you can't see people rolling their eyes. So I recently did a seminar and I couldn't see anyone. I couldn't see if they were listening. I couldn't see if they were like nodding their head or quirking their eyebrows or, you know, I couldn't see anything. And so that made it very much like a speech. And my guess is that, you know, if you watch the old reunions, a lot of times what you'll see is someone going, you know, and that is what sparks off a lot of these fights, and they couldn't do it. Now, do I blame RuPaul's Drag Race for that? No, of course not. They did the best they could. The other option is, and I mentioned this before, Ink Master, which we watch, just canceled the whole finale. They just said, they just put up, and it wasn't even addressed. It was just a card at the end of the episode that said, due to the pandemic, the finale was canceled. Each finalist got a cash prize. Go to YouTube to see the final tattoos. That was it. That was the most anticlimactic. I was like, you couldn't even gotten, I think it was so early in the pandemic that they were like, oh, we could never lower standards. And now at the end of the pandemic, people are like, not the end, but the end of, oh my gosh, I hope is we're getting to the end. But whatever this is right now, they're like, oh, we cannot just throw away this season and have nothing, and people are getting used to your commercials are Zoom, your TV shows, your late night shows are Zoom, everyone's Zoom or online stuff. So my takeaway, sorry, this is a long rambling thing, but my takeaway is that they did the best they could, but it really lowered a lot of the stakes. We got to see Britta make a very heartfelt apology. I thought it was real, didn't really make a lot of excuses. A lot of people were disappointed that Sherry wasn't addressed. I'm guessing that was the legal department. The legal department, there's no actual, as far as I know, court cases. So discussing it, they legally have the right. I'm positive. Like I said before, I worked on a reality show. I saw the contracts that were given to the contestants, and within the contract, it kind of states like, there's all these like, so I think they had every legal right to just remove her from the show. But if they had talked about it, they might have been opening themselves up to getting countersued for libel or slander. One of them is written and one of them is verbal, and I can't remember which. But they would have opened themselves up to it. So I understand why they do it, but gosh, I would have loved, and I'm sure at some point we'll start hearing, I would have loved to have heard from the queens how they felt it affected the show, because it must have. Sherry was there, Sherry was vocal, Sherry was doing well, and there had to have been conversations where Sherry was maybe the leader and they cut out all that conversation and just have one person saying something. I kind of wondered with the Aiden situation if Sherry shouldn't have carried half of the blame that Britta did. I don't know. I don't know. So I understand, but gosh, I would have liked to have heard more. I would have liked to have heard more about how, I get why they don't, because it's boring. No one wants to talk about the pandemic, but a little bit like how disappointing it must be to not be able to go do events. Nikki Doll was real caught up on who said her name when, and I'm like, just let that go. I feel like Nikki Doll went, I never showed my personality on the show, so I'm going to show it all during the reunion. And for me, it wasn't, it was kind of like, okay, I don't care. Like, I don't, they had to say someone, sorry sis, like that's how that works. They have to say someone. RuPaul will not let you say yourself, as we know, because she tried to say herself. And so you have to say someone. There's no one, you could say someone on the top, but then you look like an idiot. And that backfires too. So you just have to say someone you just have to say the truth. Okay, so there's that. And, a sweet letter from Jackie's mom. Oh, and then of course the big thing, how did I not know about this Gigi and Crystal thing? I had a couple of guesses. One is they just don't want to talk about it because, you know, they've been apart physically, so they're kind of, maybe the relationship's on a hold. And another part is that they're just playing it up for the camera, which would not be the dumbest thing given the fandom. Wouldn't be the dumbest thing ever. I don't know, but I was kind of surprised when I looked on Twitter. There were comments about it, but I kind of thought like everyone would be freaking out, and I didn't really see that. But you know, like I said, I'm not really on, I just go on Twitter as a non-login just to kind of see what's trending on the hashtag, to see if there's something I'm missing, and that's about it. Who do you think's gonna win? God, it sounds really bad, I kind of don't care. I feel like they're all so strong in their own way. I think Jada definitely deserves it. I think there's been historically underappreciation for African American queens. Just like she has to be so good to stand out. But at the same time, I love a weird queen. Every time I see Crystal, I have no idea what she's gonna do. That is something that you cannot deny. And then Gigi's very good. And I think on any other season, she would have been my standout favorite, but it was such a strong season. I think like the top 6. I think from Heidi on, we easily could have had any one of them. I would be happy with winning. So I almost don't care because I like them all so much. I think they all I think they will all succeed. I think all of them, if they get the opportunity, will have an amazing career. But who's going to actually take this prize? I don't know. And I don't want to say I don't care in the sense of like, this isn't something that bothers me, but as in more in the sense of like, I think any one of them deserve it. So that's my thought. Hit me up in the comments and tell me what your thoughts are.